Welcome, everyone. This is our live webinar from Maharishi International University. We are featuring our creative arts at the university, and we've targeted all students who've expressed, or all perspectives who've expressed interest in writing or cinematic arts, new media, or art. And we have faculty from all the degree programs. And I want to first start by introducing myself. My name is Karen Aoki, and I've been a part of this wonderful community for 20 years. I was a student first and then faculty, and now it's my joy to share our university and our culture with you. And this is our homepage. You've probably been here already, but I wanted to just point out a few things. One is that you'll see it's a presentation of all these principles and values that we strongly believe in. So you'll see that we really prioritize self-development and holistic health. And also you'll kind of see a lot of points about how much we care about each other, the professors who care about you, and also a strong peer network. And so you'll notice that our theme today is consciousness and creativity, or making the invisible visible. And we wanted to make sure that we held interest across all of our presentations. So we'll hear from professors from different areas, but we hope that you find something of interest in what everyone has to say. Okay, so what more can we say about consciousness-based education? Well, consciousness means a lot of things, but for us, it really refers to tapping into a source of creativity and intelligence. And we position consciousness as a field of lively intelligence that's available. And one of our main techniques that everyone learns is transcendental meditation, and we really support a culture of meditation and self-care. But we also really emphasize consciousness as self-development and taking care of the whole self on every level. And it's very interesting to think about how that affects a creative arts program. You know, consciousness, how does nurturing consciousness support the creative process and also the output? So this is a whole set of our degree programs that have something to do with creative arts. There's the art, consciousness, and creative practice at an undergraduate, graduate level. We also have cinematic arts and new media at a bachelor's level, and there's a BFA. And there's also an MA level for David Lynch, MFA in screenwriting. And then we have strong creative writing program offered at the BA level and the graduate level. So in today's webinar, we hope you come away with knowing, what you can expect as a student and what's different about MIU. So why study arts here? And also, how do we teach? How does MIU teach the arts? So these are our panelists today. We have Amine Kouider representing cinematic arts and new media, but he can also speak for the David Lynch Graduate School of Cinematic Arts. And then Professor Genevra Daley is here representing the art program. And then McCuin is a director of the BA and BFA in creative writing. And Gwyneth has agreed, is so lucky to have Gwyneth. She's a student, and we know that's always a highlight, is to actually hear from a student and I want to ask her why she chose to come to MIU, particularly because she already had a 10-year career as a dancer. And then she decided to complete her BA here. So let's go over to our panelists. We'll start with Amine. And I want, first of all, for you to introduce yourself a little bit so we get a sense of who you are and what brought you to MIU and what do you do here?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Um, I I I am the department chair for the Cinematic Arts and New Media program, the undergraduate program, but I also teach a course called TM and the Creative Process for the David Lynch Graduate School of Cinematic Arts. I actually graduated from the David Lynch Graduate School back in the day when we had film. Now we just have screenwriting, but I graduated with that degree. And for me, what MIU is about is this beautiful interaction between consciousness, getting to know who you are, getting to know your depth, getting in touch with your intuition, getting in touch with the creativity within, the deep ocean of creativity, of of joy, of energy, of intelligence that's all deep within us. You tap into it with your meditation and then create. Like our tagline is meditate and create. So meditate to get in and like get in touch with that source of creativity within. And then create, I can speak for the cinematic arts program, but I think it's shared amongst all the different art programs, is we're all hands-on. It's project-based learning. So we're a department of doers, of people that you take a class, every class you take, you're doing a new project, you're learning, and then you're learning from professionals who are also active in the field. Like I'm working right now on multiple projects. I'm working on a documentary project linked to Isadora Duncan, the dancer, and Lori Belilove. I'm working on a documentary film about the early days of MIU. I just got a grant from the state of Iowa to work on a narrative short film that's like a surrealist short film. So a little bit of that is in there. So all the faculty, we still keep up a creative practice. So we're not teaching you from theory, we're teaching you from experience and from doing the work. So.
How did this meditate and create, how does that foster the creative process and how does that impact the learning?
Beautiful. Yeah. I think, a lot of creativity is at least in my experience, it's an inside out experience. It's you connect to ideas, you catch ideas, and then you work with them and you allow the invisible, the unmanifest, this thing that's deep within to slowly unfold and come to materialization, becoming something visible. And I think the meditation and creating this combo, it's like you're meditating so that you're really familiar with your inner world. You're really familiar with intuition. You're very tuned into that. You can catch ideas. You can hear whispers of ideas. And then it's actually a beautiful process. It's like you're accompanying that idea to unfold into something that's visible that you can share with the world. So there's this intimate relationship that you have with the work, and this gives for more authentic work, more authentic storytelling, more things that are more linked to who you are as a person expressing it. So you learn the technical side for how to express it, or the artistic side also, but the meditation gives this other dimension of tapping into the source of creativity, I guess.
So I'm seeing that Megan wants to know if you have any suggestions then for readings that integrate TM with the curriculum.
One big major reading that we use quite a bit is the Catching the Big Fish by David Lynch. That's a big book. And there's also a great book that, TM is linked to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he had like a lot of talks about art and the creative process as well. He wasn't an artist per se himself, but he was
Is great.
someone that understood humans and the mind. And there's this collection of sort of like Maharishi's lectures on creativity called The Unmanifest Canvas. So
Yeah.
we'll try to find that book. But
Yes.
Catching the Big Fish by David Lynch is a great start. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I was wondering if you could talk about that, well, it's Swiss Army knife analogy that you give about the kind of artists you cultivate.
Yeah, I think, and I'd like to have my colleagues also comment on some of these things. Students when they're about to graduate, we ask them, what is your experience learning and all of this, especially in the undergraduate cinematic arts and new media. The thing that I hear the most is like, I feel like a Swiss Army knife filmmaker. Like I get exposed to so many different areas of art and areas within the cinematic arts. So for us, the cinematic arts and new media, we have three career areas: the cinematic arts with screenwriting, with directing, with cinematography, with editing, like very technical classes, documentary film. And then we have digital arts area, which is more the Photoshop, the animation, the photography, digital photography. And then we have the digital music and sound arts, with sound design, digital music production. So we kind of like tap into a little bit of these mostly digital arts, so cinematic arts and new media. So a lot of our students are encouraged to take classes in the art department, for example. If you're interested in animation, an art class with the art department, a drawing class. You know, Genevra is phenomenal illustration and drawing teacher, and like we send students to Genevra, or Mel, who's going to be speaking later, teaches a course on haiku, which is a beautiful course, or the course called the creative process. Sometimes people are drawn to more writing, so we put them into a creative writing, multiple creative writing classes. So on a BA level, you can earn double major very easily because some of these classes cross-pollinate.
Okay,
Or if
hold
you're
on
not
that.
interested in double major, you could do a specialization or minors. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I think we're going to pick up that thread as we move along.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
you can continue to also chat in questions, especially if you're particularly interested in film or screenwriting. Go ahead and converse with Amine on the side. But we'll move over to Professor Genevra Daley, and she's representing art. Hi, Genevra.
Hi, I was excited to see some potential MFA students in the audience here. That's great.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Genevra Daley. I work in the art department with primarily the undergrad, BFA and MA, but I can still talk about the MFA as well. I wanted to kind of like build off of what Amine was just saying, if that's okay, because I feel like he was talking, I think it was a really beautiful point, this idea of meditating and creating, building that inner strength and really finding yourself, like you're, not to be cheesy, but like this idea of your voice, or through meditation and process. And then also we can maybe think about creative blocks, this idea of the creative block. What am I going to do? I'm blocked. A lot of creative blocks are just stress in your daily life getting in the way, your inner critic over like getting in your head. And so meditation really helps relieve stress, get rid of that stuff. So meditation is kind of like a no-brainer in terms of just a tool in our toolbox that we get to use every day as a creative. So with that said, though, he talked a little bit about this like inner experience, but in our department, we talk a lot about, well, in the whole university, the idea of inner and outer. And so there's an inner development that we're doing with meditation, but then there's this outward development as well. And so in our department, we talk about how we can refine our perception and other strategies like that to see and build our environment in a way that feeds our artistic practice. So we come up, not what we come up, but we talk about different strategies in our department for tapping into that and enriching our environment and our imagination that way. There's kind of this idea that the imagination is limitless, and if we just tap into it as creatives, we can make anything. But actually, our imagination is limited to what we've seen in our lives. So I want to like really quickly, if I can share my screen and talk a little bit about this, the idea of perception. So this is more what we talk about maybe in an undergraduate class. I'm teaching drawing 1 online right now. So here's just what we would maybe say is a very common photo from a drawing from a child. If I say, can you draw a house? They're going to make a triangle and they're going to make a square box. And if I say, can you please draw a tree? They're going to ask for a brown crayon and a green crayon, right? But these are actually symbols of these two things, a symbol of a house and a symbol of a tree. If I look outside right now, and I'll take, if all of you are near a window, look outside right now. If you see a tree or a house, tell me if you actually see just green and brown. Or is it red and yellow and silver and black and so many other colors? And that tree is going to look different depending on what kind of tree it is, what time of day it is. And the houses are the same. They come in many different sizes and shapes. So George O'Keeffe, for example, drew the same door, her door, every day for years. And here's examples of that. So that's one way that we talk about strategies for thinking about our environment and connecting that inner experience and our outer experience as well.
Thank you for the mini immersion experience. I'm wondering if there's anyone particularly interested in well, I guess you could talk about the different levels of the degrees a little bit.
Yeah, maybe talking about the MFA just a little bit. So, and also our MA. So we have an MA program as well. The MA is just a quick plug for it. We have 100% acceptance rate into grad schools. Our graduate students have gotten, usually get scholarships, which is more unusual at the MFA level. And they have gotten into schools like Yale, SAIC, Cranbrook, some of the top schools in the country. So our MA program is really phenomenal if you don't think you're quite ready for an MFA level yet. MFA is a terminal degree, and our MFA is an online low residency program, which is really cool. If you have any questions, please reach out and talk to us. But we have a mentorship program with at the MFA level. So we connect you with different artists from all over the country who are working in the art world right now. And we connect you with them. They're chosen based on what you're making and what they're making, and we think the conversation is rich. So that's a really interesting aspect of the MFA program. But if you have any questions, please just reach out. We'd love to talk to you about it. And there's information on our website as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I guess we'll move over to Professor Mel McCuin then, and we have Mel representing all the writing programs. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Mel McCuin, and my pronouns are she and they. I'm a poet. That's the first thing you should always know about me, and I dabble in all different kinds of poetry. Amine mentioned haiku. I also do video poetry, which is why I also spend a lot of time with the cinema arts folks. But I am the current director of the BA and BFA programs at MIU for creative writing, and I can also speak a little bit to the MFA program as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it okay if I share a little bit of our student work?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of give you a little taste of what some of our students are up to. Also because I'm a proud teacher and I wanted to share my students' work. So this is a sampling of various student work through our haiku class, which is one of our forest classes. So if you're not familiar with forest classes, they're 2-week classes that you do in your undergrad. They happen in August and in February. And those classes are designed to connect you a little bit more with Maharshi's teachings and some of the theory behind the practice of TM. So this is a little bit of haiku. Chetana Asana, excuse me. I'll start over. Chetana Asana, dynamism strikes me. 3 more minutes. Grandfather's fingerprints on every wall protect us. He keeps out the rain. The pit in the bowl contains all the knowledge of the fruiting orchard. Branches nod, leaves murmur secrets, world exhales. An old dog in winter finds his warm bed for the last time. The water ripples, shattering the chill smooth glass, shake the stars awake. So those are just some very tiny little poems called haiku that students have done in the forest classes. And it kind of connects to what Megan Arnold had asked about integrating TM with the curriculum. So all of those haiku were influenced by one of the 16 SCI principles, which you learn about in your STC course. And so all of the things that you learn get filtered back into your writing. But I also wanted to sort of touch on that because I think it goes along with what happens in our creative writing program, which is that for writers, everything happens up here. Everything's intellectual, it's inside your head. But one of the things I like about TM and MIU is that it draws you out of your head and it's about a whole body experience. So rather than reading a book, I would say one of the best ways to integrate TM into the curriculum is to practice TM. And that's what our program focuses on. Our goal is to give students the space to create the creative life that they want for themselves. And so a lot of our classes, our creative process class, our haiku classes, our fiction classes, we focus on fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and the personal essay. All of those classes are designed to give you the space to figure out what your voice is, what style of writing you want to do, what your own process is. You know, are you someone who has to wake up in the morning, have your coffee, and just start writing? Are you someone who needs to spend a lot of time thinking about your concepts, mulling it over, and then you start writing? Are you someone who is really excited by long form hybrid video poetry, whatever it is? That's our goal, is to create the space that you need to be the writer that you want to be. And so I was just super excited about sharing our haiku, but also I wanted to touch on that as well. There are some books that we use that are specifically about the creative process, like The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. But those don't really touch on TM integration. I think the best way is to just simply practice TM.
And you wanted to speak to a little bit about the benefits of cross-pollination, right? Between the
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Amine kind of touched on that as well. He mentioned that, you know, a lot of students are encouraged to try classes in different areas. And I think that's so important because as Genevra was talking about, what you do goes into your creative work. So if you are someone who is really interested in, you know, the visual in your writing, it helps to take art classes because art classes teach you how to see, how to even look beyond what is in front of you and kind of really get a sense of what is there. If you're someone who's interested in narrative, taking one of the cinema arts classes is really helpful because they focus on narrative, they focus on that sort of linear storytelling that is so helpful to a writer. So we really encourage our students to take classes in all of the different areas, and not even to the different, you know, arts areas. We encourage our students to take classes in Maharishi Vedic science, to take classes in sustainability, because the goal of our university is to really get people thinking in terms of the interdisciplinary nature of our subjects. So we want you to be professional in your subject to really understand it, but we also want you to understand how all of those things are connected.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we covered some practical points. And I also, Mel had mentioned STC. So I just put a note in there for y'all listening that everyone takes this course called Exploring Consciousness when you get here. And sometimes we refer to it as STC 108, Science and Technology of Consciousness. And then those principles get integrated into all the different disciplines. So,
Oh, can I add one thing to that? Sorry.
yeah.
In the graduate courses, we also have a version of STC classes. So to the person's point about integrating TM, that's where that also comes in. So as a graduate student, you would take classes in consciousness and how that applies to what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. All right. So now I think we'll have to switch over to Gwyneth, and she's a student right now. And I think the interesting thing about Gwyneth's story is that she was a dancer and also in theater for 10 years. So Gwyneth, tell us about who you are and why you decided to do a bachelor's, especially at MIU, mid-career, you could say.
Yes, thank you so much. And I just want to begin by saying how grateful I am to be in this space. And for anyone who's listening to this on the webinar or watching this, I have the privilege of being both Mel's student and Amine's student, and having met Karen. Genevra, I wish I had the chance to take some of your classes. I'll have to come back. But my name is Gwyneth Vedder-Drush, and my pronouns are she, her. And I also have a touch of laryngitis today, so forgive me. But I chose to come to MIU at a point during the pandemic when a lot of creative artists were pivoting, and we were discovering, ooh, the world is shifting pretty radically. And so I had been working as a professional actor, dancer. I'm a member of AEA since 2018. And that all shut down. That industry really disappeared. And right before the pandemic, I had started to move more into a writing, creating, producing sort of space, because I had already sort of anticipated that it was important to be, for me personally, and also from a professional industry standpoint, it was important to not just be the vessel as a dancer and actor for a story, but to also be able to create story. So to answer your question, Karen, I was searching for that element. And then when the pandemic happened, I went, well, this is the time. And I had some awareness of MIU previously. Shout out to the person who's from Washington State. I'm originally from Seattle, Washington, but I actually grew up half my life in Iowa. And I'd been aware of MIU from growing up in Iowa and competing in any theater kids here from high school, a speech contest. So I was aware of Fairfield and what was happening there. And I was always just very curious. I was like, there's something creative. The kids who did the speech contest from Fairfield, Iowa were really good. I was like, they're meditating and then they're performing. What's that about? I want to know about that. So I was a little bit aware of MIU previously. And then when the pandemic happened, I was very aware that when it popped back up on my threshold, I was like, it's time to do this. And really what I was seeking was a place where my creative efforts would be based in something deeply meaningful. And I found that, and I found more, and I can elaborate on those things if you want me to, Karen, but maybe you have another question.
So yeah, I'm also thinking practically, I think you're an online student. Did you do the full-time pace of 2 classes at a time?
Most of the time. However, sometimes I had to drop it back to 1 class at a time because I was also working, continued to teach dance and other things at the same time. So most of the time it was 2 classes, sometimes 1.
Well, I think something practical would be good to end with, which is, well, how does this set you up for a career? I mean, have you noticed a shift in how you approach your professional life? Yeah.
Yes. I think the other thing I was really seeking before coming to MIU is I've been in conservatory settings before as a dancer. I've been in, high-level training programs as an artist. And what was really missing for me in a lot of those places was a community of people who were creating like from this very deep place. And so when you ask how am I set up professionally now, I benefited greatly from the fact that these aren't just online classes. I want to dispel the belief that you just get on and you watch a video. For me, my experience with the program was very deeply connected. Amine is also my academic advisor, and I found mentorship in my professors, and that was unique and something I'd been looking for a long time. So because of that, and the unique situation that I'm here in New York City a lot of the time, I was able to meld these 2 worlds together. So the mentorship of professors who are also creatives, and the fact that I was in New York City, I was able to create this hybrid of opportunities for myself with internships in the location where I'm at. And actually one of those internships is turning into a job. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways it's setting me up professionally.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we'd hope for, is that the inner develops the outer process, but also leads to that fulfillment.
I just saw a question about AI and I thought it might be worth like bringing it up.
That's true. I know, especially since we use AI for the banner, which was, I know, funny.
And I wanted to say, Gwyneth is phenomenal. It's she came in already with a lot of knowledge, a lot of uh, uh, um, like deep training. And then what we do is like we can work with you in any kind of way. Like you can come in and not know anything about how to handle a camera. And by the end of the program, you will know how to make films. So you could be creative in one way or another, but we will train you in different things. AI, I wanted to bring that out, and I hope that Mel and Genevra and even Gwyneth might bring something into it. At least in the Cinematic Arts and New Media program, we just see it as it's here. Let's understand it. Let's learn how to use it. But very importantly, let's keep that intimate connection that you have with yourself intact and keep developing that inner connection to yourself. So we do use AI. We have a course coming up called AI and Creativity. We teach a course in social media marketing and how to use AI to speed up the process. Even with the AI and Creativity, we use generative AI for like starting to work with different things. But really, we want you to, that first process of generating an idea and then working it through all the way, making the invisible visible, we want you to keep working on that and keep developing that aspect. But AI is just like any other tools that we utilize, and it's very important that we understand it. And also, bring in our flavor to it, which is consciousness based, so that's something that we want to be doing there.
And Mel wants to say a point, I think, there.
Yeah, sorry, I get really excited about the AI discussion. So in the English department, we do encourage students to use AI kind of similar to like how you would use an assistant. So it can actually be pretty helpful. For example, during the course of a class, you're going to receive a lot of feedback. You can use something like ChatGPT to summarize the feedback and hit the main points. So that's a good example of using AI in a creative writing context. We do limit it in terms of creating work. So you wouldn't use AI to create a poem unless the goal of the poem is to explore AI. And what I mean by that is we have a lot of different courses like hybrid literature. I've done a class specifically on hybrid poetry. And we did a unit where we were using technology, kind of similar to like Kenneth Goldsmith, the way he uses technology to create poetry. So you have to be really intentional in your usage of AI and really clear when you are using AI. But most of the departments have sort of taken that sort of path where, it's going to be like a calculator. And a lot of people use calculators for math. So how do we use this ethically and how do we use this strategically?
Thank you so much. Oh, well, I suppose if you want to wrap things up, I better go to the final call to action points. But what do you think? I mean, I know you wanted to give us example of an online classroom. So if anyone's considering how we do that, what do you think?
I think we can speak about it, like a
Yeah.
little bit. Sometimes people ask, how do I learn art or how do I learn cinematic arts or something online? And, Genevra can help with the art portion. But I just wanted to show you briefly how we kind of like, we use Canvas for our classes. And this is like a sample of a cinematography class. So you go into the module view here, and what you will find is like there's always an overview that tells you the wholeness of what you're going to be learning, the lesson objectives, etc. And then as you move through the module, you have a discussion thread about, which cameras you're going to be using and introducing yourself and all of that. But what I wanted to show you was we do record videos and we set you up with materials that you're going to be learning from. There's a weekly webinar for the online sessions with the faculty, and there's also individual sessions. And then one thing we started doing in the cinematic arts is immersive affinity group sessions where students meet outside of the regular class time and without the professor and share their work. So there's videos, there's slides, more videos and more slides, and then assignments and things like that. So maybe if Genevra wants to share something or two about this, it would be worth mentioning.
Online, what the classroom space looks like.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm teaching studio art classes, which you might be like, how am I supposed to do that at home? But it actually works pretty well. And I think the other thing is, for those of you who wouldn't be joining us in person, because I do think there's a lot of benefits to being in person for art classes. But one of the benefits of being home is that you're learning how to integrate a studio practice with your everyday life and how to set that up in your own house. So instead of the fact that you have like, oh, a classroom and all these materials given to you, you have to figure it out. Not, I mean, we're guiding you, but you have to do those things for yourself and figure it out within your house. And so that it kind of builds a sustainable practice, I think. But yeah, we have a small sculpture class, even drawing, painting. So yeah, we have the small sculpture class. Every assignment can be done on a kitchen table, and we help you get through that with videos and critique, and you build community as well with fellow students by sharing your work.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So I guess that brings us to the end, and we'll just give you some practical points, and hopefully this was like a fun teaser for the kind of experience you can have. And there's many ways to participate as a student. So the traditional way has been studying on campus, and we have bachelor's and master's degree programs for all the arts programs. You can also study completely online. There's specializations available at the bachelor's level. And both cinematic arts and new media actually has a full bachelor's online. And then there's master's level courses as well. But there's this third option. It's just I've been tracking this trend. It's a hybrid where people are actually so attracted to the community of Fairfield that's a part of, that's interacted with the university here. And they still are online students, but then they can take advantage of all the on-campus culture and offerings, including additional techniques other than transcendental meditation or TM retreats, meditation retreats. So just so you're aware, there's a K through 12 school associated with the university. So sometimes they've had families move here. And it's a nice, culturally rich town, very safe. So there's Fairfield, Iowa, southeast corner of Iowa. If you're interested in undergraduate and you have transfer credit, we have a very generous transfer policy up to 90 credits. This is where the specialization can be handy. Let's say you come in with a lot of credits, you can just maybe go straight into your specialization, be it creative writing, arts, or cinematic arts, or a combination. And more than 90% of the students here receive extensive financial aid. Some practical points. So the next application deadline is January 15th, and that's for the February entry. So that's mainly undergraduate programs, but we also have an entry for the MA in art. And if you go to the website, any page will have the apply button and a request info button and a live chatter. I have something coming in on the chat line. Okay, that's from Mel. And you can continue to participate in our interactive webinars. Some of them are very general about our culture. Others are more targeted, like this one. And you can also request to meet your professor. And a piece about transcendental meditation. So once you're accepted as a student, you can learn transcendental meditation for free. So no course fee has to be paid. And all students learn transcendental meditation. And you have until the end of the first class to learn this technique, but you might as well learn early if you're accepted. Okay, so thank you, and I hope that you'll be part of our community in one way or the other. There's so many ways to be a part of our extended community. You can even come for one of our meditation retreats on campus. So we're going to be staying on for a little bit, and if you have other questions, we'll be here to receive them. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you at another webinar or an event here or class.